This trail was taken by the Mormons hundreds of years ago with just hand carts and some wagons and a couple of horses. 3 babies were birthed on this trail. The fortitude and hardness of these people is amazing. There is no way anyone living today could have been able to do this. We have turned our people into a bunch of wimps. There's no way people could have survived doing this from today. The vast beauty of Utah is breathtaking. Sheer walled cliffs, mesas, hills and washes, slick rocks and sand. And it goes on for miles and miles and miles. Nothing but a rugged, rough, rocky terrain. This is the trail Hole in the Rock, a Jeep Badge of Honor trail in the San Juan region of southeastern Utah. The trailhead is on Utah Highway 276, just south of Natural Bridges National Monument. To get there from the east, you need to take Utah 95 just outside of Blanding, Utah. However, little did we know that sections of that road were closed due to a washout. Google Maps rerouted us to the newly graded path to bypass the washed out road. With our Jeeps on trailers, we followed that little blue line Google had mapped out. It was late in October, so our days were short, and we decided to camp at the trailhead and hit the trail early next morning. Okay, we're gonna make a fire. The sun is setting. The tent is up. I gotta go cook dinner. Okay, so I pre-prepped all my meals, so I just have to heat them up. So this first one is Sloppy Joe's. So we'll see how long this lasts. By the end of the trip, we'll just be eating ham sandwiches because we'll be just too exhausted. But anyway, I thought I would try. So day 1 is Sloppy Joe's, and we have some cowboy candy. This is the best. You guys gotta order from these guys. So awesome. A new bypass routed to the start of the trail starts here at this derelict half-track, believed to be an M3 half-track vehicle used by the U.S. during World War II. We started out early in the morning on day 1. We knew we had lots of miles to cover to reach the end. It is a one-way in and one-way out trail with its steep hills, bare sandstone crossings, scenic vistas and views of natural rock bridges, and a dugway known as Poopy Pant Hill, leading up to Gray Mesa, one of the most challenging obstacles of the trail. We were on a time crunch as we had limited time as we had to get back to our real-world life. This was one of the most isolated parts of the United States. In 1879, a group of Mormon pioneers began an expedition looking to improve relations with the Indians. They wanted to ensure control of the area for new farmland and provide future colonies for Utah. A group of over 200 individuals from villages in Utah formed a mission and answered a plea from President John Taylor, who was calling to colonize the area. These Mormons demonstrated remarkable faith, courage, devotion, and persevered even when confronted with the challenges of southeastern Utah's physical environment. These pioneers toiled under the most trying of circumstances over the slick rock. After 4 months of exploring for a feasible route to their intended destination, the pioneers selected a direct route from Escalante. It was by far the shortest route, but through completely unexplored terrain. The biggest obstacle they faced was the Colorado River. A scouting party said it was passable. There was a narrow slit in the west wall of Glen Canyon. They believed a road could be built down to the river. Another scouting report claimed the terrain east of the river looked extremely difficult for wagon trail. But it was too late for those pioneers to turn around. Snow blocked any return to their former homes, so the group was determined to forge ahead. As winter approached, these men, women, and children with 80 wagons, 1,000 head of cattle, found themselves up against a seemingly impassable terrain. The settlers had been en route for more than 2 weeks when they reached the 1,200-foot deep Colorado River Gorge. For 6 weeks, the men labored on the wagon road down the sandstone cliffs to the Colorado River. They chiseled and blasted a path through the steep crevice. Their road stands today as a testament to their pioneer ingenuity and determination. Oh, it's making way too much noise. Don't confuse this trail with Hole in the Rock Road. The trail is rated 4 to 6 out of 10. It's a long, exhausting trail. There are times where you aren't even sure where to go as the trail is not marked. The deeper you get into the trail, the harder it is to navigate where the trail is. I don't think I have brakes. I had my foot on the brake the whole time. The first half of the trail is pretty easy to navigate. Typically on trails, there are markers or cairns or black tracks on the rocks. Not on this trail, because not many venture this far into the trail, so you need to be on your A game, as the markings are slim to none. You should definitely have a GPS map. There were many times we had to get out to scout the trail ahead to make sure we were on the right path. We're totally off the track. The further we got into the trail, we spent a lot of time trying to find the trail. See the cairns right there. So we're on part of the trail that is not very well traveled. Very, very few people have come through here, and it is very hard to figure out which way the trail goes. There's lots of, not a lot, but there are lots of different tire track areas where you see the tracks. So you got to be very careful not to follow what you think might be the trail, because it's not. You got to keep your eye out for the cairns. And the obstacles kept getting more and more difficult.
Don't just let it roll. A little. We're fine. You're gonna have to take them off.
So I want to go down there. Driver? Turn. The sun was getting low in the sky, and we knew it was time to start looking for a camping spot. I had been in the driver's seat all day when we came to our first serious obstacle. Poopy Pants Hill. It is an off-camber, very narrow section with a rock face on your driver's side, and the passenger side is a sheer drop-off. They have shored up the passenger side with some rebar-type material, but that looked sketchy at best. If you were a millimeter off, you would have rolled the Jeep. Holy mother of f***ing. Oh, no. Beepity beep beep beep.
Tammy, did you video what's down here? Or what's not down here?
There was a really cool camp spot that opened up into this amazing cavern. We set up our tents and made camp there for the night in this cavern. And we weren't alone, as we heard a coyote. The next morning, it was time to tackle the rest of Poopy Pants Hill and on to some of the most amazing scenery in Utah. Okay, good morning everyone. It's day 2 on the Hole in the Rock Trail. We camped in this little cavern cove area. The Mormon expedition to colonize the San Juan area in southeastern Utah is a feat unparalleled in American colonization. The uncompromising determination of these settlers can't truly be understood unless you've seen this terrain in person. The 2 days we spent on this trail in our Jeeps was exhausting. I can't even imagine the strength and fortitude it took for these pioneers to keep forging forward. Now, some folks have pushed and done this trail in 12 hours, but that's during times where the days are longer. The trail is a one-way in and one-way out. If you're unfamiliar with the trail, you need to give yourself a lot of extra time. I would plan for at least 3 days on the trail. We finally made it over the slick rock and we're on top of Mesa. The views were miles of spectacular beauty. Scenes very few get to see. We spent the next several miles on top the Mesa, this easy ride, not knowing there were more difficult slick rock obstacles ahead. You know what? Not many people get to see this view in person. I think that's kind of better than the Grand Canyon, huh? Now we are nearing closer to the end of the trail, but still have a lot of rock formations to conquer. At this point, we are going down what some call the Chute, and it can look very intimidating from your Jeep. Whoa! I'm gonna tip! You gotta...
Bring it up. Big bump. Big bump. Get down.
They finally finished the road, now an off-road 4x4 trail, January 26, 1880, and about 40 wagons were taken through the Hole in the Rock. Elizabeth Morris Decker wrote a vivid letter to her parents on the account of their descent to the river. If you ever come this way, it will scare you to death to look down. It is about a mile from the top down to the river, and it's almost straight down. The cliffs on each side are 500 feet high, and there is just enough room for a wagon to go down. It nearly scared me to death. The first wagon I saw go down, they put on the brake and rough locked the hind wheels and had a big rope fastened to the wagon and about 10 men holding back on it. And then they went down like they would smash everything. I'll never forget that day. When we was walking down, Willie looked back and cried and asked me how would we get back home. Passengers coming down! The rear's coming down! Even with Hole in the Rock behind them, the colonizers still faced many miles of rugged terrain, primarily solid slick rock and mountains cut by deep gulches before reaching their destination. Decker described it as the roughest country you or anyone else has ever seen. It's nothing in the world but rocks and holes and hills and hollows. The mountains are just one solid rock, as smooth as an apple. Unfortunately, we did not make it all the way to the end. We still had 1.7 miles and decided we needed to turn around. That 1.7 miles would probably have taken at least 2 hours there, then 2 hours back, and maybe more. We were on a time crunch, plus we didn't want to chance it with our gas. I highly recommend you spend at least 3 days on this trail. It is long and exhausting, and there is a lot of walking to scout out the trail ahead to make sure you're heading in the right direction. The last few miles of the trail are not marked very well, and it takes a lot of attention to stay on the right path. The views are breathtaking, and the journey was amazing. Seeing firsthand what those Mormons did cements in my mind the fortitude of our forefathers. One day I will go back and trek to the end and spend a night on the Mesa taking in that beautiful sky. This is my favorite part right here. In the sand with rocks all around you so you don't know how high you are. I feel safe right here. Woo, woo, woo.